The president of a nation is, generally speaking, the head of the government and the fundamental leader of the country, or the ceremonial head of state. Presidents are not responsible for everything that happens in a country. Presidents shouldn't be given credit or assigned blame for everything that goes right and wrong. So in this video, we are going to talk about the top 3 best presidents of this era. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. Top 3. Number 3. Donald Trump. Donald Trump's presidency has been a consequential one, but more for its destructive effects than for its achievements. The damage caused by repeated attacks on American democracy, an inept pandemic response, and disruptive foreign policy decisions will be difficult, if not impossible, to repair anytime soon. But he improved the lives of a majority of Americans. Despite the worst pandemics since 1918, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and the worst racial unrest since the 1960s, a record 56% of Americans told Gallup before the election that they were better off now under Trump than they were 4 years ago. He expanded GOP support among non-white voters. Trump earned 26% of the non-white vote in 2020, the second best showing for a Republican since 1976. He stopped the Democrats' blue wave. Far from damaging his party at the polls, Trump helped Republicans stop Democrats from taking the Senate and gain at least 11 net seats in the House without losing a single Republican incumbent. When the pandemic began, economists warned that the U.S. was barreling toward a second Great Depression. He shut down travel from China, held Beijing responsible for the pandemic, and cracked down on China's intellectual property theft. He launched Operation Warp Speed, the greatest public health achievement in history. Until now, the record for the fastest vaccine development was 4 years. Operation Warp Speed did it in 9 months. For all of his mistakes in managing the pandemic, Trump is also responsible for ending it. When he was president, everyone was making money. When he was president, he was mean. But he was the best president, and everyone feared him. The economy was up. People was happy, unlike Biden. He will never leave us in a recession. Number 2. Ronald Reagan. Reagan came to the presidency with a sweeping and specific set of policy goals. In domestic affairs, he set out to revitalize the economy, reduce taxes, balance the federal budget, and reduce the size and scope of the federal government. In foreign affairs, he vowed to rebuild the American military and confront the Soviet Union and its allies with new vigor and purpose. He promised to negotiate with the Soviets from a position of strength. He feared that the accepted national policy of deterring the Soviets through a balance of nuclear terror, mutually assured destruction, would lead to a nuclear war. Reagan's presidency was nearly cut short by the bullet of a would-be assassin. He was shot and seriously wounded as he was leaving a Washington hotel on March 30, 1981. With his approval rating soaring, Reagan, after his recovery, won passage of much of his economic program, which featured large tax cuts and spending cuts that turned out to be smaller than advertised. Late in the year, the economy plunged into recession, reducing government revenues just as the United States was undertaking the defense buildup promised by Reagan. Taken together, the reduction in revenues and the increased military spending sent budget deficits soaring. Reagan largely ignored the deficits and focused on the recession. Many in his own party were critical of Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker, a Carter appointee who prescribed high interest rates to bring down inflation and crush the recession. But Reagan stuck with Volcker. Unemployment rose, but inflation subsided, and the economy turned upward in 1983, an expansion that continued throughout the Reagan presidency. Number 1. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, most commonly referred to as JFK, won the 1960 election with both the popular vote and the Electoral College. Although Kennedy's presidency was cut short due to his assassination after nearly 3 years as president, he is still hailed as one of the greatest presidents. JFK's presidency was defined by his commitment to bettering America. Kennedy accomplished more in his 1036 days as president than most did in 2 terms. Kennedy's commitment to equality was seen through his staunch support of civil rights and his drafting of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and his economic policy benefited Americans as a whole as he helped end the recession plaguing America. His foreign policy saw him stand up for the little guys of the world, and he is unequivocally the greatest president of modern America. JFK's presidency started during a recession, and his quick thinking and hands-on economic policy helped bring the recession to a swift end. Kennedy's Revenue Act, which was proposed by him but was only passed posthumously, lowered taxes, yet still increased tax revenue for the government. JFK vigorously worked to open the St. Lawrence Seaway, which not only combines U.S. and Canadian seaways, but is also a major source of hydroelectric energy for both nations. JFK was a champion for the everyday person, advocating for better working conditions, more public housing, higher wages for workers, lower prices for goods, cheaper rent for the underserved, and increased Social Security for the elderly. He worked hard to decrease poverty in the Appalachian region, an area that is plagued by extreme poverty. John F. Kennedy was the youngest elected president in history. A Harvard graduate, war hero, and congressman, JFK marked the beginning of new hope for both equal rights and peace. His economic programs launched the country on its longest sustained expansion since World War II. Dozens of acts he started were passed by future presidents after his assassination. Let us know your opinion in the comments section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.